singing ho hum bum ba-dum ba-dum ba-dum. What's bugging Snug?
Quick video. I just watched a YouTuber that I was not familiar with by the name of Xander Raymond Charles, who made a video called "Why Do You Hate YouTube Guitarists?" He referenced Kyle Bull's video that I did watch also a couple days ago about internet shills, YouTube shills. And he's kind of going on this theme that's been a while. Henning made a video on it several months ago last year. Landon Bailey's made video on it. And I'm going to address it now because I think there's some sleight of hand going on with all of these. So the premise is people that watch videos are complaining and they hate YouTube guitarists, and they hate them out of jealousy because they get free stuff, or because they play good, or because they have a audience and they leave mean comments about videos that they don't have to watch, or like Kyle Bull said, which is completely ridiculous, people are personally offended that YouTubers sell gear they get for free, and that they've taken this at a personal level and they're complaining about it, which that might be true, but not the vast majority of them. Then there's what Landon Bailey talked about is people complaining and not being satisfied with the free entertainment they get from YouTube channels. And then Henning, of course, made the first video that I remember defending himself from being a shill. And it's not fair to call anyone a shill, and it's a business. So I'm going to combine all these things into one. And I'm going to say, which is it? Are you in a business and you're in the advertising business? And if you're in the advertising business, then everything you do is an advert. Whether you personally endorse it or not, you're getting paid in some way, even if you say you're not getting paid and your payment is only the gear that you have to sell to get paid. It's a paid endorsement, and revealing it's a sponsored ad at the beginning, yeah, that's fine. But any ad that's not a sponsored ad, this is your business model. And like Henning pointed out, whether he intended to or not, you can't do anything to upset the apple cart. His defense was, look, I'm not a shill. I won't endorse something I don't like. If I don't like something and it's bad, I won't endorse it. Of course, I won't tell my audience what it is because I don't want to upset these people, because they may make something good in the future and I want to get paid to endorse that. I also won't call out anyone else that says it's good when they know it's bad, because they're my colleagues. I have to maintain a working colleagues because this is a business. And it's not fair to call them shills because they've got to pay the bills and they have to make that decision themselves. And that's their call, and I'm not going to call them out on that. So don't call anyone a shill, even though it's not a bad thing to be a shill, but I'm not a shill. That was kind of the point of his video. Okay, so where was I going with this? So yes, so you're either a paid spokesman and you're in the advertising business, or you're an entertainer. And you have to make that, you can't go back and forth. And this is what they want to do. And it's similar to when comedians or actors, they want to be this voice of influence in politics and things like this, but then if they say something dumb or if they get called out, they say, hey, I'm just a comedian, I'm just an actor, I'm just a whatever. And it's the whole clown nose off, clown nose on sort of thing. And I think we're seeing the same thing here. So I don't understand. Now, I admit I don't have any skin in this game, and I may be making unfair generalizations, but this is how I see it. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to leave a mean comment. And you know what? It's the internet. Mean comments and insults and unfair accusations did not begin with Guitar YouTube. They existed long before YouTube. Anyone that's been on the internet knows that. So this idea that somehow it's unfair that they're getting these comments. Trolls exist. Trolls have always existed. Trolls always will exist. People make mean comments just to make mean comments. I would guarantee half the people making comments don't even watch the video. Jay Sallin would back me up on this. So, let's talk about something else. This guy, Xavier Raymond Charles, basically says YouTube is the new guitar magazines. And you got to go there to learn gear, and you should be thankful for the opportunity to see all this gear and stuff like that. And yeah, that's true. I agree with that. When you pick up a guitar magazine, you know that if you see, I can't remember who his example was, but some famous guitarist endorsing a product, you know that he's been paid to endorse that product. We know that the magazine has been paid to display that ad, and you know that that's an ad when you pick up the guitar magazine. When you have a YouTuber that says, I've got this amp and it's really great, and here's all these great features, and it's so good, you can't necessarily believe that. And then the idea that they turn around and sell it, as Kyle says, well, you know, people sell good gear all the time. Yes, people do sell good gear all the time. People go through that. But when you're saying this is a game changer, this is a great piece of gear, and then you put it up on a Reverb store 2 days later after your video goes, it makes you want to question, especially when you're saying, oh, they just sent me this. The good people at Sweetwater, the good people at wherever sent me this thing, and I'm just going to demo it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. Oh, I haven't been paid. I did, you know, whatever. You have to decide. If you really want to be above board and, you know, you are personally insulted by these accusations or by these insults or by whatever, make a decision. Is it a business? If it's a business, be completely upfront about it. Just be completely upfront about it. Tell people, this company sent me this piece of gear. I get to keep it. It's part of my payment. They're also paying me to make this and whatever. You don't have to put numbers, but just make that clear. Saying this is a sponsored video or putting it somewhere or in fine print or saying it, that's one thing. But that's also, you're still trying to have it both ways, in my opinion. You're still saying, oh no, I'm just, you know, one of the arguments they said was, well, why don't we post gear we don't like? Well, it's no fun. It's no fun, and we're in this for the fun, and it's hard to make a video on a piece of gear you don't like. And then, like Kyle Bull, he said something completely contradictory. He said, one, all the gear's good, so you'd hardly ever get bad gear. And then if you do make bad gear, it's no fun to make a video on it. And if you do make a video on it and it's bad, then you become known as the guy that makes bad gear videos, and everybody comes to you just to see you rip on bad gear. I don't see how those things can all be true at the same time. And I'm an idiot in my closet. I don't know the ins and outs, but this is just Joe Schmo watching YouTube. My thoughts on this. So, you know, Ryan on 60 Cycle Hum, when that new American, what was it? I don't remember. The latest was a Jazzmaster, a Jaguar, came out, and he was demoing it. This was months and months ago, last year sometime, and he was talking about how awesome it was, and it was so great. It's the new Fender, and it's so great. But it lacked a lot of the features that the Jaguar or the Jazzmaster, I can't remember, have. It doesn't have the selector switches, and it was different. But he's saying, no, 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 no. In the comments, people were saying this, and he's saying, no, 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 it's fine, it's great, it's still what it is. And then a couple months later, he makes a video talking about how awesome in general Jaguars and Jazzmasters are. He didn't use that guitar to illustrate that. He used, a vintage one or a reproduction or a reissue or to illustrate it. And then he was showing all the features, all of the pickup selectors and the strangle switch and all of that to demo that. And that's a tell, because if that thing that he said was so good, why not include it in your video to back up your claim? So it's these kind of things that make the audience poke their heads up and say, I don't think you're being completely honest. So you got to decide what you are. Are you a salesman or are you an entertainer? Because you can't have it both ways. You can be an entertaining salesman, but you're still a salesman. And I get it. I get it. This is what you do for a living, and you got to keep your channel running, and you got to chase the algorithm, and you got to get new gear reviews and all this stuff like that. But don't pretend then that you're doing this for the fun of it, and because you just like gear, and because you love music. All those things can still be true, but those are secondary, because you got to pay the bills first. And just be honest about it. That's, I think, where the irritation. I really don't think anybody hates YouTube guitarists. There's people that I personally don't like. I don't watch their videos. I don't go to their thing and leave mean comments. That's what trolls do. I don't begrudge anyone for the choices they make. What I do take issue with is say, this is coming from out of nowhere, and this is unfair, and this is unprecedented, and why are you people, like Landon Bailey says, you wouldn't pay to keep this channel running, right? You wouldn't pay, the audience would not pay to keep the channel running. Everybody's coming here for free. They won't even subscribe. They won't do these things. So why then? But then they complain. They're the first ones to complain. Well, there's some truth to that. Again, the most vocal voices are probably the most insignificant. Now, I get that if you get hundreds and hundreds of awful comments a day, it's got to wear on you. At the same time, if your audience is not going to pay, and they are just taking and getting this for free, then don't listen to them. Disable the comments. Okay, well, again, this is one of those things. You're not just in it for the money. You do enjoy what you're doing. You do like the community thing like this. So then don't make these blanket statements and ascribe the actions of the few and the loud and the obnoxious to the audience as a whole, because that's what it seems like is happening lately. There'll be some disclaimer. Well, it's not everybody. But I'm going to talk in generalizations and just make these sweeping claims that, like, it is everyone. And that's the thing that's kind of irking me, because this is the internet. It's been around for years. Humans have been around and been the same for thousands of years. Why all of a sudden the idea of mean comments and these accusations are suddenly a bridge too far? I don't know. Maybe it's just the topic of the day, that what the algorithm wants. But come on, guys. Come on. We know. Just be honest. Just be honest. If you just be honest, you take away the sting of these comments. They can't make these accusations. They can't call you a paid shill when you say, no, I'm in the business of being a gear ambassador or whatever. because that's what you are. Look at it. That's what you are. You're getting paid to demo gear. You're not getting paid. Maybe you don't have an exclusive contract with any one company. That's fine. But if your business model is your revenue is based on you demoing gear for your audience for a fee, what does that make you? That makes you a paid spokesman, a paid shill, whatever. Okay, don't use the word shill because we're not going to lie about stuff and tell you something's good when it's not. Okay, fine. You're still getting paid. You're still a paid spokesman. You're still an advertising outlet. Just embrace it. Don't claim that you're an entertainer. Don't claim that you're simply a gear enthusiast or a guitar lover or something like this. And that's the whole purpose of your channel, because it might have been at one time, but it's not now. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you just have to embrace it and admit it and be upfront about it. And stop complaining if people say, I don't think I believe you because you said this thing was so great, and then you turn around getting rid of it. Just say, okay, yeah, it's part of the business model. I think it's a good amp. I think it's a good pedal. I think it's a good guitar. I'm not personally going to keep it. Just be upfront. Be open about it. And don't tell me that you can't do it and that people will stop watching, because every one of you does the same. Oh, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. The algorithm's doing this. Do you know this? All of you have got repetitive stuff in every video. One more thing's not gonna kill it. So anyway, so that's all I had to say. At a certain point, either be okay with what you're doing or don't do it. That's all I'm saying. Do I think any of you guys that'll never watch this, but any think of these guys are doing anything wrong? No, I don't. I don't think any of them are doing anything wrong. If I thought any of them was doing something wrong, I wouldn't be watching their videos. I just don't show this channel to me. I wouldn't go to their channel. I certainly wouldn't subscribe. But this bad person called me a name, and I have to come out and talk about how, no, it's not us that's bad, it's you that's bad for making these claims that most people aren't even making. Attack. Don't either do the nut picking thing where you pick the one ridiculous accusation and you focus on it and say this is kind of representative of all of them. That's not cool. But if people are getting tired of watching commercials, then people are getting tired of watching commercials. That's just human nature. So, all right, that's all I had to say. Happy Labor Day. Bye.